Hi, I'm Al Lowe, and I'm listening to Adventure Game Hotspot.
Welcome back or welcome front if it's the first time joining us. I am Joshua, Weird Gaming Adventure. As always, we got Jack Allen here on the Adventure Game Hotspot Podcast, and we got a couple other guests today. Some friends. We got staff writer Bo, and we got Josh Mandel. How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Good. All right. Everybody else is good, apparently.
I was waiting for everyone else to go. I'm so tired. I'm
everybody. We're all
trying to hold it together. So.
Awesome. So yeah, Josh, since we've had Bo on before, and we'll kind of talk with him in a little bit, but we have you on for the first time on the podcast. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are considered one of the legends of Sierra, amongst other things? Did you know that you were considered a legend of Sierra?
No, God, no. Well, I had been a stand-up comic for many years, and then I went into advertising, and then somehow I landed a job at Sierra as a junior producer. And I didn't want to produce, I wanted to design. So I started sticking my nose in anywhere a designer would let me. And so I produced King's Quest I SCI, and I rewrote the text from top to bottom. Roberta was kind enough to let me do that. I wrote on Space Quest 4. I wrote on Leisure Suit Larry 1 VGA. I wrote on all these games. Every time a designer would say, "Yeah, would you take care of this for me?" I didn't really want to deal with that. I would say, "Sure, let me do it." And by time I left the company, I had worked on, I think it was about 30 games.
Oh, impressive.
Sometimes writing or designing, sometimes just voice acting, like in King's Quest V. And I guess I got a reputation as sort of a jack of all trades at Sierra.
We're definitely going to dive a little bit deeper into that, but before we get that squared away, Bo, how you doing specifically today? You doing good?
Yeah, I think I got more sleep than Jack did, so
I would hope so. We can't both be nodding off while this show is on.
Bo just got done with a review that we put up on AGH, and so if anybody has any inkling to check out, see what Bo's been doing as one of our staff members, you can go check that out, and more that he has done as well. Speaking of that, as we always start off with, Jack, speaking of Jack of all trades, why don't you tell us what's gone on this week in Adventure Game Hotspot?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had a full week as usual. We had a couple of reviews. One was a side-scrolling game called The Rewinder, a really sort of unique cultural look, sort of Asian-themed game. And then, of course, Bo's game was Murder is Game Over, a little whodunit, a very little whodunit, apparently. But the big piece for the week was, of course, an interview with a couple people named Ken and Roberta Williams, I think it is. Anybody heard of them?
Williams?
Yeah.
Oh, Ken and Roberta. Yeah, I hear they got a game coming out.
Yeah. So that was really fun speaking to them. We talked to them about Colossal Cave because that's coming up this week. Yay, their return to adventure gaming, first time in 25 years. That's pretty exciting.
Awesome. And we got a whole lot coming up this week as well. We'll talk a little bit about that on the way out. But we've got Josh here. We've got King Graham. We've got the creator of, Space Quest 6, who worked on, some Freddy Pharkas stuff. Gentlemen, start your engines. Let's talk to Josh. Jack, let's go with you first, my friend.
Josh, I know everyone wants to talk Sierra with you because that's what you're most known about, but I'm so fascinated by your pre-Sierra career as a comedian. So I'd like to hear a little bit more of that. Like, at what point does a person decide, I want to be a stand-up comedian, when I grow up?
When I was in college, I was a theater major. And as one did back in those days, if one was in a university theater department, one formed an improv group. And so there were 5 of us, and we did improv. And one by one, everyone in the improv group graduated and moved away until there was just one other woman and myself. And so we would do the sketches that we had polished from the improv group. We would do those on the street. We would busk. And then when I graduated, I said to her, I want to move to Chicago and try to get into Second City. We were in Madison, Wisconsin at the time, so Chicago was
Pretty
a
close.
logical step. So she said, well, I'm not doing anything. I'll move with you, and we'll keep doing our act together and try to get into Second City. And I said, great. And so we ended up not getting into Second City, although we ended up working for Second City. They hired us in their overflow theater. But we ended up working for about 6 years, headlining at clubs first just in Chicago, and then we started touring, and we ended up touring all over the country and in Canada. And so it was never a decision to be a stand-up comic. It was just something I fell into because I couldn't get into Second City.
But did you then you went to, theater college or whatever? Did you want to be an actor? Was that what you were trying to be, or?
Yeah. And in fact, when I moved to Chicago, I did some acting, some commercials. In fact, little known fact, I am in the first Dungeons and Dragons commercial.
Really?
If you look it up on YouTube, I don't know what it would be under early Dungeons and Dragons commercial, so on. But I'm there along with I think his name is Alan Ruck.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Neat.
And Jamie Gertz.
Really? Wow.
Yes,
Look at
but
the
we
name
were
dropping.
all kids.
So Josh Mandel is like the Jack Black of Pitfall. Jack Black as a child was like the first commercial for Pitfall. It's so funny watching. You guys, if you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. He's like an 8-year-old boy with like a adventurer's cap on, out there. He's like, you got to watch out for the snakes. So Jack
cool.
Black from an
That is
early
too
age.
funny. Oh, great. I'm going to be
I'm gonna
commercial
look that up.
chasing on YouTube all night.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to look that up myself.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Well, I think you'd want it to be. It's a Dungeons and Dragons commercial. It should appeal to geeks and, but I can't wait to see it.
It's a lot of bad animation.
Yeah.
Jump on in there, Bo.
Oh, well. Yeah, so you talked a little bit already about, kind of how you started out at Sierra. As most adventure game fans know, King's Quest V was the first ever fully voiced game that was produced, and with that being said, King Graham was the first fully voiced character. Was there an audition process at Sierra for that role? And what was that like?
Yes, there were auditions for a lot of the roles, and it was pretty straightforward. I mean, they gave me a script, and I read it I tried to do a reasonably dramatic but realistic voice, and they said, "Can you do it more buff?" I said, "Yes, I can do it more buff."
Absolutely.
And in fact, that was the note that they kept giving me throughout the recording of the entire game, is whenever I would slip back into making Graham, a little tired, or a little upset, they would say, no, 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 no. He's buff. He's always buff.
See, whenever you're getting upset at Cedric, no, keep the squeak out of your voice. You know, pump a little testosterone in there.
I mean, I remember there was one time when I was coming out of the water. I had almost been drowned, and I was just acting like it had all been pulled out of me. And
As
they
you
said,
would.
no, buff, buff.
You have to understand, King Graham, he falls a lot. Even even whenever you're falling and screaming, "Arr!" it still sounds buff. There's some bass in there. In fact, I want to hear. Give us a King Graham falling real quick.
Oh my God, I'm gonna blow the mic out.
Do it.
All right, I'll try. Hold on.
I'm convinced.
I can just see you falling off one of those cliffs there.
I scared the hell out of my wife.
Yeah, what are they doing to Josh in there?
You
You
gotta-
bounce up on your feet and go, I'm all right. I'm still buff. I'm all right. That's so funny because of all the things I would use to describe King Graham, buff wouldn't be among the top 50.
Oh,
No offense to you, Josh, just the character himself.
how could I possibly take offense at that?
That's just not true,
because
Jack.
of the voice. Not because of the voice.
You know, King Graham has literally been lifting. Have you seen? Guy's got pecs. He's got some traps up here, some forearms. Man, that dude's been he's been hitting the gym for sure.
All right. But there's gym tough and there's world tough. You know what I mean?
Well, he's definitely world tough for sure.
Okay. All right.
He's King Graham. He's King Graham.
He went face to face with the Yeti.
That's true, and gave him the custard pie. Like,
Yeah, that's
well,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
See what
don't
I
talk
mean?
about the custard pie.
Yeah, this is what I mean.
Oh, I actually think the custard pie, like people give that a bad, it's got a bad rap. But if you think about it, it's actually kind of a neat little puzzle. There was a lot of timed puzzles in there that were worse than that. I truly believe, like the cat, you throw the boot at the cat type thing. That was way worse than the Yeti. But Yeti's the one that kind of gets it because, it's King Graham using a pie.
Yeah.
My vote for the most out there puzzle in the game has got to be the cheese in the machine.
Well, I had heard about that prior to actually playing it. And so to playing that puzzle. So I had kind of known about it from my friends. So it wasn't as difficult for me, but I could see that. I could totally see that. So
what other characters did you voice? And do you have a favorite character that you portrayed? And not even necessarily at Sierra, because you've done other voice acting too.
Let's see. In Jones in the Fast Lane, I was the pawn shop owner. He was kind of fun. But I think the most fun that I had was probably the Monolith Burger manager in Space Quest 4.
Yeah.
Which I did with a magic marker in my mouth because he was shown always with a cigar in his mouth, and I needed to kind of sense memory for that or something.
Good method acting there.
Yeah.
and you're
But
known as go ahead.
No, I was just going to say he was gruff and irritable and fun to play.
Well, you are known as a Space Quest guy. Like you're a fan, correct? Like you're known as a Space Quest fan. So
Yes.
when you played that role, was it something that you were extra excited for? And I guess I'll ask the second question with that as well. What character that you voice acted, do you think best emulated you as a person?
Yes, it was really exciting working on Space Quest 4. That was Space Quest 3 was the game that when I was in advertising, I used to run to the software store at the end of work each day to see if it had come in yet. To the point, and I think it was like a Babbage's or something like that. So I was a real Space Quest fanboy. So getting to work on Space Quest 4 was a trip. As far as most reflective, I don't know. Maybe there's a thug in King's Quest 5. You know, the one where he gets hit over the head.
The Guido. The Guido.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm doing like this, doing like mafioso, like this. That was a gas. I don't know if it was most reflective of me, but
You hear that, guys? He fancies himself a mafioso.
That's right. Yeah. All right.
Well, you mentioned Jones in the Fast Lane a little bit ago, and I think there's probably a lot of Sierra fans that have never heard of that game. I spent a few hours with it a long time ago and really enjoyed it. And but yeah, if you could talk more about your involvement with that and kind of what it was like working at Sierra and making a board game, essentially.
Well, Ken came to me with a program on a floppy disk, and he said, "Here, someone has submitted this to us as a potential game. Play it and see what you think of it." So I played it a good long time, and it was an early version of Jones with no graphics to speak of, and no cute text or anything like that. But I said to Ken, I really like this. I think it'd be great. And he said, okay. And then the next thing I knew, he had contracted with the designer. It was the only game that Sierra produced out of a submission. And I was assigned to write the text. And I wrote the text in concert with Warren Schwader, who was doing most of the programming. Warren was a hero at Sierra. Warren had programmed games that I had played on ColecoVision years and years before I ever went to Sierra. So we wrote the text together. We recorded the talking heads and the walkers, and it was a very easy, low stress project. There were not a lot of eyes on it, so anything I wanted to write, I could pretty much write. Although there's stuff I couldn't get away with because Warren had conservative sensibilities. So I had to pull back a little bit what I was writing, but it was a great fun project to have worked on.
Those conservative sensibilities handicapping your ability to write, huh?
I know. It's horrible.
It actually leads into one of the questions I was going to ask. Like, how much freedom did you have to not this particular game, but when you were designing a game, how much freedom did you have to basically, run with, whatever design you wanted, and how much was sort of framed for you and work within these, restrictions, kind of thing?
Good question.
Sierra was very haphazard in its control over what designers did and didn't do. Generally, essentially, there was no one looking over your shoulder.
No.
You could do whatever you wanted, pretty much, as long as someone on the staff of the game didn't end up objecting to it.
Right.
For instance, on Freddy Pharkas, we had several people who I wanted to have be members of our team who said, no, I won't work on that because it's going to have lewd humor in it. Even though I had really stressed to them that this was not going to be a typical Al Lowe game.
Right.
But there was very little discipline.
Was that by design or just sort of, structurally that's how it was set up?
I think that was by design.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense to me. Certainly got a lot of good results out of it.
I mean, if for instance, when Bruce Balfour was working on Laura Bow 2, then Roberta oversaw
right
everything that he did very closely. But like Jane, no one really looked over Jane's shoulder. The EcoQuest games, no one looked over their shoulders. It was kind of a free-for-all.
Well, I gotta think you would like that. Any artist would, just be free to create,
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the suits breathing down your neck.
Exactly.
At least not while you were working, maybe after, but.
Right. And then you got to the point where the game was far enough along that Ken was going to play it. And once Ken played it, then all bets were off.
Right.
So speaking of Ken, would you, Jack mentioned the suits. Would you consider Ken working for a suit kind of guy? Like, what was it like working for Ken?
No, Ken was a lot more laid back than I would envision a suit to be. He liked choices. He liked if you let's say there was a time when we needed to write several game proposals a week, like 3 a week. And we would give Ken as much of a choice as possible, because if he felt like he had a choice, then you were okay. He wasn't going to dump everything out. He was going to find something that he liked. And very short, these proposals would be like 2 or 3 paragraphs at the most, because he didn't really have the attention span to read a long description of game design. So he was pretty easy to get along with.
So when you said you were a producer, like when I hear the word producer, maybe I just don't know what the word actually means in this context, but I hear suit when I hear producer, kind of keeping things on track. But so did you actually do that on the games you produced, or was producing at Sierra kind of a completely different thing?
No, that's an accurate description. You would have a budget, you would have a timeline, and you would constantly check to see that you were staying in budget and that your chances of making your timeline were going to be good. And as long as you did that, that was your job. And it was producing really was pretty easy.
An important job, but I can see why you wanted to get into the creative side.
Yeah.
Well, talking about creative freedom, I was thinking of like how people have said that worked on I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, that Harlan Ellison was a difficult author to work with. You wound up working on 2 games with Legend, that also had authors attached to them, Terry Brooks and Spider Robinson. And I wanted to find out how involved were they in those projects, and how were they to work with, and how much room did you have to play around with those stories?
Well, I wasn't a lead programmer, or lead designer rather, Shannara. So I don't know how much interaction Corey and Lori had with Terry Brooks. I never heard of anything there, but that doesn't mean anything. With Spider Robinson and Callahan's, I called him when the project was just kicking off, and I said to him, "How involved do you want to be in this project?" And he said, "Just as long as the check clears, I'm happy."
I can see Spider saying that, yeah.
And in fact, I dealt with him really very rarely. I wanted him to sign off on the individual stories that are told in the game, and he did turn down one of them because it happened to coincide with a story that he was already writing. It was an origin story. But other than that, he did not ask me to change a word. And we worked with him more closely when we were doing the music, because he sang the songs in the game. But he was incredibly grateful for that, and really a breeze to work with.
And that's an amazing set of 4 songs there. That's one of my favorite soundtracks in a video game.
Oh, thank you.
Who was responsible for the amazing pun fest at the beginning of that game?
Say you. Just say you.
That was me.
Yeah.
That was me.
I like it.
Anything to hook me into an adventure game, and that's pretty much it.
Really?
Oh,
You're the one.
Oh, everybody loves a good pun.
I was kind of disappointed that the whole game wasn't just puns the whole time. So,
Well, it was 90% puns, I think.
That's a strong ratio. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a creative guy. You said that you were into marketing for a while. You know, was it commercials that you were doing, or pitching the commercial? So let's do this. Let's put on the creativity hat real quick here. So as we mentioned, Ken and Roberta, they're kind of back at it, making Colossal Cave 3D. So now you are putting on your marketing hat, making a commercial or something, or pitching something to Ken and Roberta. What game would you suggest, would you pitch to them to make for their next, if they're going to do another, reimagination, or what game would you suggest they do? Here,
I was thinking about this before, and I think the logical thing is Colossal Cave 2. I mean, it's not very imaginative, but Roberta is known for producing games in series.
Oh man. Yeah, no, we're gonna have to get something else. We're gonna I can't imagine there being any more caves like that has dragons, trolls, what else? Large bears. Oh man. What's your second best option?
Can she revisit any of the Sierra catalog?
Now, okay, I gave you a rule, but now it's your rules. Like you make the rules now.
Laura Bow 3.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Would love that. Would love to see any attachment to the Williams with another Laura Bow game. In fact, there's a game being made right now. Don't have the license for it. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, the Mechanical Codex.
Exactly. It's beautiful too. Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely stunning. Yeah, I'd love to see them help kick that in the driveway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine they're going to have licensing issues down the road, but like in a way, it's such a smart kind of tactic to use, like to piggyback on a, known license to start? Because even if down the road you end up having to change it to something generic, everyone already knows about you. Like here we all know about the game, which we wouldn't if it was just some, Joe Blow indie game that, was starring some entire different protagonist. So it's still smart. Doubt it ends up being a Laura Bow game, but
Yeah, you just change the name to Laurel Necktie or something like that. Like no one will ever get it. It's not
No.
even close. Oh boy. Well, you guys have any more questions in this format?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not usually a muckraker, but there is sort of so much insanity clouding the Leisure Suit Larry Reloaded remake. Josh, I just wanted to get your take on that and sort of the madness that was Paul Tro and everything that was going on there. Do you have any sort of stories to tell from your experience there?
I don't have any stories that I can bring up without giving myself nightmares.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Well, that sets the imagination going.
However, I do think that for the most part, it was a pretty good game.
It was, yes.
We got dinged in some early reviews, and Al and I talked to each other and we said, look, we delivered exactly what we promised to deliver in the Kickstarter. So I think he said that that's his favorite version of Leisure Suit Larry 1. So
yeah, I can believe that. Yeah, the
that
game turned out remarkably well. Such a crazy story behind it that none of us sort of know more than a little bitter piece here. And I thought I could maybe drag a little bit out of it, but no, darn it. Oh,
Me,
I tried,
however,
guys.
I love mud rucking. Like, give us all you got.
Fish the dirt.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh well.
So
you did some extra writing on that game, right? Was that what you did for that, Josh?
I did virtually all the writing.
Was it largely rewritten, that game?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
So
I don't think I ever played the original Leisure Suit Larry. I know. Shameful, but I didn't.
Not even the VGA version? You ever even played the VGA
I don't
version?
remember. So many games
I bet you
in so many
did.
years. I might have. But it was so long from when I played the Reloaded that I had no sort of frame of reference for what was new and what was, the same. So good job given the circumstances. Boy, that's something. I want to talk about a game that that I knew you were involved in, but completely forgot until I was, looking up your games today. Talk about this Insecticide. I really enjoyed that game, or I should say half a game, because on PC that's all we ever got, which was really too bad. I bought the Nintendo DS version and never got around to playing the second half, but I thought that was fun. And you did the writing for the sort of more detective-y investigation parts of that
Right.
game, right?
Each section of the game would go between detective and action, and I worked on the detective sections.
Yeah, and what was that experience like?
It was great. I was working with Larry Ahern.
All right.
And he was just a pleasure to deal with. In fact, for years afterwards, he would try to find me jobs and I would try to find him jobs.
Gotta like partners like that.
Yeah. The head of that game group was Mike Levine.
Right.
And Mike Levine most recently did Sam and Max VR.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in fact, I worked on that.
Oh, did you?
I worked on that, and then someone found out that we were doing it, and it was someone who had been on the original team of Sam and Max, and he wanted to work on it. And Mike Levine said, well, I can't afford both of you. So
the Sierra guy gets the boot, eh?
Sierra guy got the boot.
It's LucasArts versus Sierra, man. It always
It's
comes down
always
to it.
LucasArts versus Sierra. I got a quick one for you, quick hitter. Okay, so you know a lot of people. You know, you've met a lot of people in the industry. You've met a lot of developers, famous developers, and such. So if you could say there was an Adventure Game Hall of Fame, who would be the first developers that come to mind that would be on the first ballot Hall of Fame list for the adventure game developers?
Oh, Jane Jensen and Al Lowe.
Love it.
Can't go wrong with those choices.
How about you, Bo? Who would be on your first ballot Hall of Fame? Give us two.
Boy.
First thing that comes to your mind. First two.
Bob Bates. And
That would be a popular one, I think.
Yep.
right.
Mhm.
And Steve Maretsky.
Wow.
You're
Yes.
deep. You're deep in there. I like it. Now,
Great,
okay,
great choices.
let's break it down a little bit more. Two games. First two games that come to your mind from Adventure Games Hall of Fame.
Is that that for me or?
Oh, well, it was for Josh, but anybody can
Okay.
go in there.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Planetfall.
Okay, Planetfall.
I mean, you
what's another?
made me think of Steve Maretsky, and I remember at the time thinking Planetfall was just about the perfect adventure.
Homage. You have another choice? How about you, Bo?
Yeah, we're going back to that time frame. Well, I would.
We don't have to.
Well,
Yeah, first thing that comes to
got-
your mind.
I know. I
40
want to
plus
stick in
years
that
of-
era. I mean, I would pick from that era Bureaucracy, A Mind Forever Voyaging, and Police Quest 2.
Again, deep. All right, we're going again. And Jack, you could jump in here too, unless you want to stay impartial.
No, yeah. You know what? I was probably going to name some LucasArts people in games, so maybe I should just sit this one out. And
Yeah, I'm sitting it out because I kind of want to stay impartial.
I just wanted to balance it out a little bit, but I'm glad. I got to say this: I'm glad Legend is getting the proper repping here because they're
Underrated.
so underappreciated. Yeah. I no idea why that is.
One more quick question along those lines. Two people, Josh. Two video game or adventure game protagonists. Who's the first two that come to your mind that you would vote into the Hall of Fame? It's okay to say King Graham if you want.
No, I wasn't. Guybrush Threepwood and Gabriel Knight.
Yeah, my guy. Bo, what's the first two that jump in your mind?
Sonny Bonds.
You're a Police Quest guy.
Yeah, I am. And April Ryan.
Nice. I'll jump into this one because these are obvious. The first thing that really pops in my mind is Guybrush Threepwood and King Graham. Like they're the princes of adventure games. It seems they've had the most games out there, and it balances LucasArts and Sierra. Do you want to play this one, Jack?
I'm just going to put in my one because I haven't mentioned Portal in several podcasts now, so I'm going to throw in my vote for GLaDOS as one of the. I mean, she's new, but she's eternal, man.
Oh boy. Well, this is a lot of fun. Do you guys have any speed questions that you want to ask him, or do you want to go ahead and move on?
I just had one.
Mhm.
And to gush again, one of my favorite games of all time is King's Quest 2 Remake. And
Yes.
I just wanted to ask you, Josh, if you ever actually if you played the whole game, and kind of what was your reaction when you were given the lines where King Graham attacks Cedric the Owl?
Which is just brilliant. I love the change in that.
I did play it, and I thought that was a ton of fun attacking Cedric.
Okay, let's do it. Let's have a little fun. I want you to play King Graham for a second. So you gotta put on your buff,
Yeah,
voice.
get buff.
Okay? You gotta get buff here. I want you to say something to Cedric. Say something funny to Cedric that people would find humorous. Or put your improv hat on.
Why, Cedric, don't you know that you should clean up after yourself?
Loving it. Okay, now if you could say something along the lines of that you're King Graham and you're listening to Adventure Game Hotspot Podcast.
Who were these characters they're talking about?
Love it. All right. So if you guys have ever listened to our podcast, which, if you're watching it now, you probably have in the past, you know that we end our show with a top 5. And today, I think we're going to do our top 5. It's going to be about our top 5 favorite sci-fi shows or movies. And Josh, you're the guest. So why don't you give us your first give us one sci-fi movie or show that you definitely have in your top 5.
All right. I don't know if you guys even have heard of this one. Called Brightburn.
I have.
It's a superhero movie turned on its ear about a boy who comes to Earth like Kal-El does in Superman, and then he decides maybe to be destructive with his powers.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So have you watched that one, Jack?
I've seen it, yeah, not for a while, but yeah, it was pretty dark.
All right, Bo, what about yourself?
I'll have to go with Looper.
That's a good flick.
I mean, I don't think, as far as like serious time travel movies, that's absolutely my favorite. And I mean, the time travel stuff is all cool, but I think what really makes that movie special is just the relationship between Emily Blunt's character and her son. I cry like a baby at the end of that movie every time. So
nice. Jack, you're next.
Boy, I thought everyone would take some of the low-hanging fruit, sort of shows and movies starting with, say, Stars, but I'm not going to do that either. I'm going to go for a show called Firefly. This is
you're
going
a
back to
Firefly
when,
guy, are you?
Joss Whedon was still a thing, and just a really, really good show, and great cast, sort of half sci-fi, half sort of rustic Western, and it was just and really funny, really witty dialogue. So I loved it, and it only lasted like 12 shows or something like that, and a movie. But there was a big
play on
sort
that
of pitch to revive the series. Never happened. Too bad, but I enjoyed it.
I'm going to play off that in improv theme and say, very good. And Serenity. I'll go with Serenity then.
Yeah, that's the movie then.
Yeah, that truly was on my list. Very underrated, I think. So
yeah.
Firefly.
Did you see the show or no?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I hadn't. I saw the movie first and went, "This is awesome." Oh, there's a show. I got to go back and watch it. So yeah, it was great.
All right, Josh, what else you got?
Popular choice, Gattaca.
Gattaca.
Yes, that soundtrack is gorgeous.
Bo?
I'm going to put a plug in for the I think it's on Apple TV, Severance.
Really? I haven't heard about it.
It's about a company that has developed a technology where when you go to work, you're your work person and you remember nothing about your personal life, and when you go home, you remember nothing about your work life, so you completely separate those two parts of yourself.
Ooh, I want that.
And Adam Scott plays the main character, and he's excellent. The whole cast is excellent. Just a really creepy show, and I was thinking about, of course, end of the season has a cliffhanger, and back in the day, if like Star Trek had a cliffhanger, you were disappointed, but you knew 3 months later you were gonna see the follow up. And nowadays it's like, well, 2-3 years later, maybe we'll get a second season. So, but highly recommended.
All right, Jack.
Well, since we have Josh here, I thought I'd go for a couple of comedic ones. So my first one is very spoofy, Spaceballs by Mel Brooks. It's not on anybody else's favorite Mel Brooks movie list, but it is on mine. I just think it's absolutely hilarious, and especially Rick Moranis.
That's not true, Jack.
Oh, really?
My wife, literally in the background here, she heard you and she goes, "Woo!"
Yes.
Did you guys hear that?
No, I didn't, but yeah, okay.
She dropped a woo on you. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Equilibrium. Christian Bale. You guys ever seen that one?
Yep, long time ago.
Give it a try if you haven't. Love it. Josh?
Galaxy Quest.
Yes.
Okay.
Very funny.
Quick and efficient. Bo, give us a quick hitter answer.
I mean, my wife would kill me if I didn't say Back to the Future. It's we partly fell in love because of that movie. So
Wow.
perfect script. So
That's a story I'd like to hear at a later time for sure. All right, Jack.
My other funny one is sort of making fun of bad sci-fi movies is Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh,
the movie though, because I've seen lots of the shows, and I just can't get into them the same way. But the one they did, the one theatrical version they did, hilarious. So love that.
I will take that low hanging fruit and drop a Star Wars on everybody. Yeah, drop some Star. I figure 3 is about the time where you don't grasp for that.
Yeah.
Oh well, you got to name a specific.
That's exactly.
Oh, okay. Movie. It's a specific movie. The holiday special. No, I'm kidding. Oh man. So I'll go with Return of the Jedi. And for me.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Wrong choice, but interesting.
Yeah.
There is wrong choices with Star Wars.
There are. Yeah.
There's lots of wrong
that was one of them.
Oh
no. It's up there, but
falls into the Rancor pit and the Rancor tamer cries. Come on. All right, Josh, what do you got?
Idiocracy.
Haven't seen it, man.
Yeah, I saw that fairly recently. Luke Wilson.
I'm learning more. I'm learning some things. We gotta start watching.
Man, you don't need to watch it. It's happening all around you.
True. Some of it on the show right now.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go there. But...
Bo?
Have to pick The Next Generation. Probably a third of the episodes are garbage, but Patrick Stewart is a legend, and he just kills it every time he's on screen.
Patrick Stewart. That's Sir Patrick Stewart, my friend.
I don't think he would mind.
Jack?
Also wrong, but wrong choice of Star Trek. But Patrick Stewart is an amazing captain. I got to give you that. So, and go with Christopher Nolan's Inception. I don't think my brain has still fully healed from trying to piece that movie together, but I did get there at one point. At one point, I got it, and it was like this perfect moment of clarity. It all came together, and like grabbing a dream, it was just like gone a minute later. But amazing.
Oh boy, I'm having a hard time not choosing obvious ones now. So I'm gonna take the original Star Trek series. Very special. That's just something that's special to me. Like,
oh yeah,
it's in looking back, especially obviously I didn't watch it when it was live or anything, but looking back, it's so corny, but it's so good. It's incredible. It really is incredible. And Captain Kirk, man, I tell you what, Has there ever been a better character written than Captain Kirk?
He's awesome.
Josh? Last one, make it
Columbo.
count.
Columbo. Oh no,
Columbo.
never mind.
Murder, She Wrote.
The first 3 or 4 seasons of Lost.
Ah,
Yes. Agreed.
My wife would agree with that for sure. Bo?
All right, last one. We'll go with The Matrix.
mhm.
Oh man, I didn't think anybody would take it.
You got some agreement there.
Oh.
Well,
Matrix.
Josh and I are used to arguing here, so that's good.
Yeah, that's right.
We're in agreement. All right, Jack.
I am going to go into the world of animation for Wall-E. I mean, Pixar has done some amazing movies, but I think Wall-E is their best. So it's just
It is.
so touching and smart and thought-provoking, and it's got everything.
And first 20 minutes has no dialogue.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's amazing movie.
Another one I haven't seen. I gotta check that out.
Oh,
Okay.
you must see that.
I was certain that Matrix was going to be left, so I'm going to have to pivot, and I'm going to stick with the Star Trek theme. The new Star Trek movies with Chris Pine, especially the first one, it was so good. Like the cast that they had put, it was perfect. I mean, they did so well, and the writing was good. It was clever. It was witty. It was everything that the original series was, just more modern and fantastic. Fantastic. Well, that's it. Okay, I got one more question. Out of all of these that we talked about today, these movies or shows, what would make the best adventure game? Let me put the music on here.
Mhm.
That is so.
Oh, that was the wrong button. There you go. All right. Whenever you come up.
I mean, some of them already have, but I'd love to see The Matrix as a video game. I mean, Fahrenheit was practically was The Matrix, just a different story. But I would totally play that.
You're right about that. Like the Star Treks have been turned into adventure games. I failed there. I failed. Anybody else have a thought?
I think Galaxy Quest would make a good game, but only one one entry.
I kind of think, I mean, I don't want to favor my own choices here, but I think there's a really strong gameplay possibility in Inception, and it would be for, puzzle lovers only, but because it's just so layered, it would be really fun to try and unpeel that, or even to add the layers if you're creating that. So that could be a lot of fun.
I agree with you, Jack. I agree with you on that one. But I'll pivot and just say I just like to see a Star Wars adventure game. I mean, it feels like it was a missed opportunity for sure. And maybe now that that Disney has some association with Lucas, maybe they can work something out.
Maybe
2022 opened our mind to a lot of changes or old things coming back, and so maybe we see anything like that. Josh, you have anything to say on the way out?
Thanks for having me. This has been great, and I can always count on you guys to ask great questions.
Wow,
I never come away thinking, oh, they asked me the same old questions again. You guys always ask me something new, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. That's the second time we've heard that this week. Ken and Roberta both puts on Twitter just how incredible Jack's questions were asked, how unique the questions on the interview. Yeah. I wasn't sure if you saw that. I didn't want to.
Yeah, thanks for passing that along.
I didn't want to explode your ego or anything. Now you got Josh.
You can't touch my ego.
And Roberta, what's left? We might as well just shut this thing down right now because we can't top that, can we?
No, I appreciate it. I think we do try and put some thought into, an interview is just so much better if it feels fresh and not like you've heard the same one over and over again. But
No,
Josh, it's been great having you, so we really appreciate you being on.
Thank you. Thank you.
What were you gonna say, Bo?
Oh, you got to get Jane on here next week and come up with more questions.
Yeah.
Let's talk that into existence real quick before we start saying our goodbyes. Jack, what do we have going on this week?
Oh, well, we've got a review of The Quarry coming up tomorrow. That is a sort of supernatural horror camp horror game from Supermassive. Next
Number
week, I think
8.
we've got
It was
What's
number
that?
8 on our list, right? On
on our top games of 2022. Yeah, I forget
It's
what
around
number
there.
it was, but it was on. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to give it away last time we did this, but next week we've got a sort of a narrative adventure called Wayward Strand, and of course a review of Colossal Cave when it hits on the 19th. That's a week from today, right? Yeah. So yeah, we hope to have a launch day review all prepped and ready to go.
Big things coming. So where can we find you, Josh?
In the living room.
Well, we see your dog back there.
Yeah,
Definitely
invite us over and we'll be there.
if you yell again, we'll definitely be able to hear you from where we're at for sure.
I don't have a project going on right now, so I'm at loose ends.
Do you have any social media that you'd like people to follow you at?
No.
And in Spanish,
Leave me alone.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you coming on. For Jack, for Bo, thank you, Joshua. I am Joshua as well. And this is the Adventure Game Hotspot Podcast. See you guys in the next video.